J. Stephen Sadler with a video clip from my book, Quest for the Best. This is chapter 19, Finding the Right Place. In choosing a home for my commercial bakehouse, I wanted to make sure I took the environment into mind. Saving an old building from destruction would be preferable to building new. Setting up shop in an old part of town would be more desirable than building out in a modern strip center. I always had visions of building an environmentally advanced facility that would be a green showcase. Unfortunately, as a startup, my budget would not allow me to create the green baking environment I envisioned. As a startup with my budget limitations in mind, I instead decided to look for an existing building in the Deep Ellum or Bishop Arts areas of Dallas. For those of you not familiar with Dallas, these two areas are the old funky sections of Dallas that have a lot of history and character. Artists, designers, writers, and artisans from every field call these places home. Unlike the suburbs, where fast food restaurants and massive chains are the mainstay, cafes, bistros, and small independent stores are the common element that provides these communities with their character. And, of course, it also provides a unique flavor. In short, they would be the ideal home for my crumb cake business. As I researched these locations, I ran into a deal killer disguised as the name of progress. Like many cities, Dallas has its share of old buildings, in need of a little bit of loving to bring them back to life. Unfortunately, also like most cities, Dallas zoning requirements eliminate any hope of a startup doing just that. You see, Dallas requires that a building be brought up to code. In any location that has been sitting vacant for over 6 months. That included just about every old building in the Dallas area that met our criteria. Being brought up to code is an expensive proposition that includes installing sprinkler systems, grease drains, venting hoods, etc. I estimated that the cost of bringing one of the old buildings up to code would cost me approximately $80,000. Now, spending $80,000 before I even installed equipment and finished out the space was not something I was prepared to do. I would much rather spend those funds on client support, product development, and marketing. I could find new locations in strip centers that were already up to code, but part of our green mission included rehabilitating old structures, not encouraging another strip center. And so my search went on. On my property scouting trips across the DFW Metroplex, in the Cedars area, just south of downtown Dallas, I continually passed a grand old hotel called the Ambassador Park. This beautiful building had lain vacant but was clearly cared for. The grounds were immaculately kept. The building, although obviously closed, seemed in excellent condition. On each trip, I would stop by to see if anyone was there. In each case, I was met by silence. No answer at the door, no telephone number, nothing. Online, I found that the hotel was a historic monument in town that has so few. Dallas has never been big about keeping historic buildings. So when you find a gem like this, it is truly a gem. But in 1904, built in 1904, in the Sullivanesque skyscraper style, it was renovated in 1932 to reflect the local interest in Spanish colonial revival. As city's first suburban luxury hotel, it entertained presidents and royalty and was the first hotel west of the Mississippi to have an elevator. In 1965, it was recorded as a Texas historical landmark. It had lain vacant for several years now, and to me, cried out for some attention. The more I researched, the more I felt this grand old lady fit with my vision perfectly. What better way to serve our earth-friendly principles than to reawaken a sleeping beauty? On my 5th trip to the hotel, I struck gold. A trip to the basement door resulted in a face-to-face encounter with the ambassador's caretaker, a gentleman named Bill Holdeman. One conversation led to another, which led to my vision of saving an old building and bringing her back to life, which led to a tour of the grand old lady. Like those old movies where mysteriously everything remains but the people, the ambassador was a trip back in time. Its lobby still shone from the light of its majestic chandelier. Its wide hallways with ceiling fans and plush carpeting harked back to a time when travel was a leisurely experience to be savored. Its 2-bedroom suites were still as they were back when guests would arrive from around the country. Beds neatly made, curtains drawn, standing ready for their next visitor. The more I toured, the more I fell in love with this grand old lady. My tour of its magnificent kitchen was more than I could have ever hoped for. Fully functional with every appliance a commercial kitchen would need, I could feel the energy of its once large staff quickly setting about to service its restaurant and many guests. From that point forward, I knew this would be our home. I would set up shop and bring life back to her old bones. Crumb cakes at the Ambassador, a marriage of necessity for both of us, but a marriage made in heaven nonetheless. I signed our lease on April 2009 and set up shop. The beauty of working at first alone and eventually with my team of 6 to bring life back to the grand old dame was beyond compare. Every morning our team would enter through her beautiful lobby, down her spacious hallways into her once bustling kitchen to work our craft. Every evening we would turn off the lights and bid her a fair adieu, only return the next day to fill her kitchen with the wonderful smells of fresh cakes, fresh from the oven, just like she experienced in her prime. Our stay at the majestic Ambassador was not limited to our team. During our stay, we witnessed a marriage, 2 school graduations, a heartfelt departure of one of the caretaker's children to college. The caretaker's son became our little helper, always by my side whenever the killer mixers, as he called them, went on. We made friends with this small group of a select fortunate few that were privileged to share the living and working space in this historic old lady. A building that was exclusively our small groups to share. For whatever reason, it just felt right to craft cakes from the past from a grand old hotel from the past. What could be more natural? Thanks for reading along with me. If you'd like to join me and read along, stop by my website at www.jstephensadler.com or on Amazon and look for my book, Quest for the Best, and join along. I'll speak to you again next week with the next video short from my book. Until then, you have a great